Hi, and welcome to this edition of Beyond the Badge. I'm Joe Nichols. Today we're here with Officer David Moss, and he'll be taking us around the city of Oshkosh on an 8-hour patrol, and we're calling this segment A Day in the Life of an Oshkosh Police Officer. Dave, I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit what you're going to be doing on your shift?
I'll just be doing regular patrol duties, responding to calls, doing traffic enforcement, and whatever else happens to come up.
Dave, if you could tell us a little bit what you do before resume, what type of equipment that you get.
Well, first I get changed over into my uniform, and then I'll go into the equipment room. I'll get a taser, a tactical rifle, my flashlight and radio, and then I'm pretty much ready to start.
At resume, which is what some people would call roll call, a sergeant or lieutenant will give the information to the officers, such as their work areas that they're going to be in the city of Oshkosh, and also other briefings such as early occurrences in the day on other shifts. And Dave, what other information does a sergeant give to you in resume?
They pretty much go through just what's happened over the last 24-hour period, things that we need to be aware of, cautions that we need to observe throughout our shift, any major incidences that have occurred in other cities that we need to be aware of, and people to watch for and vehicles to watch for in the area.
Very good. Okay. Dave, before you go out on patrol, what do you have to do to service your vehicle?
Well, I'm going to start by checking the oil and making sure that that's full. Then I'm going to check out all the lights on the vehicle, make sure all the emergency lights and regular turn signals and brake lamps are working. Then I'm going to test out the siren to make sure that's functioning. And finally, I'm going to boot up the computer and get that logged on.
Dave, I want to thank you for helping us out today. And we'll look forward to you coming back after your shift so we can talk about what you did tonight. And enjoy Beyond the Badge.
Right now we're responding to a
232 is already on scene over there.
possible bomb threat at the Oshkosh Public Library. Right now we're going to just surveil the area until more officers get to the location. The Oshkosh Fire Department also is responding, and we're going to try to go in and secure the building and find out exactly where this threat originated from. At about 2:38 p.m., the Oshkosh Police Department was dispatched to a bomb threat at the City of Oshkosh Public Library. After we responded, we did evacuate the building. The library staff assisted us with the search of the building, and no suspicious items or packages were located. At this point, the library is going to be reopened for the public use, and our investigation into the person responsible for the threat continues. Now we're just going back on patrol. We're going to look for any traffic violations or wait to get dispatched to a call. The license plate shows expired, so I'm going to stop that vehicle. I'm going to wait until we get either past 9th or down 9th a little ways so that we're not blocking up the intersection. And then I'm going to stop them right there. The reason I stopped you today is because the registration plates on your vehicle are expired from February. Are you aware of that? Okay. Can I see your driver's license, please? Thank you. I just want you to remain in your vehicle. I'll be back with you in a couple minutes, okay?
Thank you, officer.
I identified the driver by his driver's license, so I'm going to run the information through our computer to find out if he's valid or not. And then I'll make a decision on to what enforcement action we're going to take, either a warning or a citation for the violation. I usually take into consideration, like for this particular violation, it's expired from February 2010. It's only about 9 days expired. So if he hasn't been stopped for the violation recently and received a warning, then I'll give him a warning with a correction date. Usually I give people 10 days to correct the violation. If by chance he received, like, let's say a warning a couple days ago and he still didn't fix the problem, then he would probably receive a citation since he's already been warned about the violation. Looks like we haven't had any contacts with him recently, so I'm going to complete a traffic warning for the violation and ask him to have it corrected within 10 days. There's a call that just came over the air of somebody that may be trying to get inside of a home just up here on Georgia and 9th. So I'm going to try to get this guy going real quick and get over there to assist with that call. I'm just down the road. I can see the truck from here. I'm going to close out my stop and start heading over there. I'll let you know if it moves. All right, Steven. Just a warning today for the violation. Please make sure that you get that up to date for me, okay?
I totally slipped my mind.
South Washburn, plate of 788 called Ben Williams that's driving at a high rate of speed and cutting vehicles off. Running his plate, it comes back.
There's Rob. There's a guy's jacket in here. If he just wants to hang out by the door, I'm going to see if he'll come to the door here. There's a guy going to the front door right now.
Bill and Rebecca Sullivan. You have to sell, you call them, right?
We responded to a call of a suspicious person on 9th Avenue in the 800 block. And what we found was that there was a contractor that was doing a remodel for a home. The homeowners had left a key with that contractor, but had latched the fence, so he couldn't get access to the door. He used a ladder to try to open up the fence, and one of the neighbors saw that activity and reported it. He was identified, and the homeowner was contacted, and there were no problems.
Be in the corner of Georgia and 9th, but it was just on the corner.
One of our most useful tools in law enforcement is our computer. We call it a MDC, which is a mobile data computer. Essentially, this computer gives us access to driver's record information, license plate information. It also lets me query any calls that are impending, any calls that people are on. It lets me see the statuses of where every officer in the city is currently at. It also lets me check other agencies like Appleton Police and Neenah Police and Winnebago County Sheriff's Department to get an idea of what's going on in the area. This becomes useful if, for instance, there's an armed robbery in Appleton and the suspect was last seen southbound on Highway 41. I can check the computer for pertinent information of what the suspect looked like, what vehicle they're operating, and what things I can look for in our jurisdiction to help their jurisdiction with their investigation. Also on the computer, like I mentioned, you can run license plates. I do run license plates quite frequently just to try to find out if there's any stolen vehicles in the area, if there's any registration plates that don't match the vehicles, or if there's any drivers that are operating without a valid license or may have a warrant for their arrest. A question that often comes up is if the police department has quotas. At the Oshkosh Police Department, we don't have any quotas. We simply are expected to do our job, and if we have low numbers, that might be indicative of an officer not performing well or not performing enough specific stops. But we don't have any number of citations that have to be written or any number of warnings that have to be written. I try to make several stops so that I'm out there, I'm active, I make contacts with people and try to make as much enforcement as possible. But there's no quotas that we have to fill at the end of the month. And if you're getting stopped, it's for a violation because an officer observed a violation, not because we have a quota we need to fill at the end of the month. The question comes up sometimes, how do we determine if we're going to go lights and siren to a call versus just responding in a normal fashion? That decision is generally made by the officer that is responding to the call, and we need to make the determination of what is a true emergency. And the policy at the Oshkosh Police Department is that whenever the incident involves the great danger of significant injury or death to a person or substantial property loss, that officers are authorized to go lights and siren to the call within their discretion. Common calls that we may go lights and sirens to would be an accident with injuries, a battery in progress, a report of some sort of physical disturbance between individuals. There would be other cases also, like a burglary in progress, where we may just have our lights on and no siren, and we may respond that way so that people don't necessarily know that the police are responding. Most calls that we go on, we're going to respond just normal patrol speed, not lights and sirens. Obviously, the officer has to weigh the risk of danger to the officer and others responding to the call versus what you're going to be able to help when you get to the scene. Obviously, if officers are responding lights and sirens to calls that are not very serious in nature, you put the public at risk and you put yourselves at risk by driving at that speed and forcing everyone to pull over. And it's not necessary to put people at risk if you don't need to.
It's been an exciting day so far. When we return, we'll see what the night holds for Dave. We'll be right back after these short messages.
I want you to follow the tip of my finger with just your eyes.
How will it feel
14, 15, 16.
when you know you're failing the field sobriety test?
Take a long, steady breath into the tube.
Over the limit, under arrest. Drive sober. And let's achieve 0 deaths on Wisconsin roads.
We've been dispatched to a call with a suspicious vehicle.
I
mean, certain stuff she gave me was descriptive, like a white male driver in his 30s to 40s, driving this white truck. But then,
9 to 10.
go ahead.
Unless you need anything else from me, I'm going to clear.
That's fine, thanks. But then, you know, that information is different than what was given to dispatch. And she didn't see anybody, any kids in the car. She just heard the screaming coming from the car.
Yeah.
But if it was a truck, how could, you know, where would they be that you wouldn't see them in
Where
the
did
car?
she say it happened? Like Grove or at Evans?
Between Evans and Grove.
She was right, basically. She's like at the tree. You know, which one? She was basically right in front of 10.
Okay.
And that's where one of the witnesses was at that same house, and she
Okay.
heard and saw it.
Okay.
It doesn't really
Okay.
make sense.
All right.
If there was
We responded to a call of a suspicious vehicle in the area of Greenwood Court and Grove Street. The reporting person stated that there was a child in a vehicle that was screaming and that they were concerned about a possible child abduction. Through our investigation, we talked with other witnesses that were in the area. Nobody else heard or saw anything except for this one child. We also checked the area for the vehicle, and unfortunately the child was unable to give us any more description other than a white pickup truck. At this point, we don't have anything else really to go on. We're going to document the incident and continue to speak with other neighbors in the area, but it does appear that there's no risk at this point for any sort of incident, and the other neighbors in the area where this occurred didn't see anything happen either. So We don't believe it's going to be an ongoing issue at this point. Hi there. Officer Moss, City of Oshkosh Police.
Yes.
Reason I stopped you today is because your registration plates are expired from December of 2009.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I didn't even think of it. I moved and I never.
Okay. You didn't update your address with DOT or?
Okay. No. I
Okay.
still have my own.
All right. Do you have a driver's license with you today?
Yeah. Is it alright if I step out? It's in my backpack in the back seat.
That's fine. I'll just grab your name. Are you the registered owner of the vehicle?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Just sit tight in your vehicle. I'll be back with you in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, no, that's fine. What I wrote you today is a 10-day warning.
Okay.
What that means is that you need to have your registration up to date within 10 days, and it's written right on here. You need to report back to the police department by March 19th, 2010, okay? You need to report in person. They're going to run your registration plate at that time. If it is current, they'll sign off on it and give me a copy of it.
Is it just the same place I'd go if like I had to pay a ticket or something?
You would actually, for this, you need to go to the DMV. It's out on Amro
Oh,
Road.
but I mean like once I've gotten it updated.
Yep. Once you get it updated, just come right into the police department. It's on the corner of Church and Jackson. It's the safety building.
Okay.
Come right inside. They'll run it for you, and they'll get it taken care of. If for some reason I don't hear by the deadline, by March 19th, then I'm going to write a citation. It'd be $173, and I'd mail it to your address. So obviously neither of us want that, so just make sure that you get it up to
Okay.
date by that time, okay?
Okay, great.
All right, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Our registration plates were expired. That was the reason for our stop. They've been expired for roughly 3 months, which she stated that she was unaware of because she had recently moved and didn't update her address with the Department of Motor Vehicles. I chose to give her a warning on that violation because it was expired for just a couple months, and she also said that she was unaware of it. It's a 10-day warning, so she needs to report back to the police department in person within 10 days with the updated registration. If she fails to appear within the 10 days, then she'll receive a citation, and that'll be just mailed to her residence. And this vehicle is traveling without headlamps, so we're going to get them stopped here. Sam 10. Clear that's out 012. Put me on a stop. Same location. Hi there, Officer Moss, Oshkosh Police. Reason I stopped you today is because you're operating without any headlamps on.
Yeah, I know, because we can't smoke on the premises here.
Okay.
So I parked down there.
Okay.
So when I pulled out, I flipped my lights on.
Okay.
So that's.
All right. Do you have a driver's license with you?
Yeah. Actually, it's up in my room.
Okay. What's your name? Okay. Are you the registered owner of the vehicle?
This is my mom's car.
This is your mom's car?
Yeah.
Okay. You're on occupational. Are you within your hours?
I don't think I am.
Okay.
So.
All right. Who's your passenger here? Hi, what's your name? Eric, what's your last name? Okay, thanks. Just sit tight. I'll be right back with you. He stated to me that he does not have a valid driver's license, which is kind of what I figured by him pulling into this lot real quick after he saw me spin around. So we'll confirm that with DOT. You are suspended. I don't show any occupational in the system at all. But even if there was an occupational, clearly you'd be outside of your hours based on what
I
you.
know I would be outside of my hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So either way, you are receiving a citation for operating after suspension. Okay. You can appear in court if you want. It's April 14th, 2010, 9 o'clock a.m. Or otherwise, you'd have to pay the fine amount. It's $200.50. You have to pay that before the court date or appear in court to contest the citation. If you can't pay the full fine amount, just contact the clerk of court to set up a payment plan, like $10 a month or something like that if you want.
Okay.
So.
Like, Even though I'm outside the hours,
Uh-huh.
like if I were to take it to court and just say, hey, you know, like if something got screwed up where you didn't see my, like, would the fine differ from having the occupation and being out of hours?
No, it'd be
Or
the
is it
same
just straight,
violation.
dude, you're in violation.
Right.
And you're screwed?
Yeah, it would be the straight fine. You'd be in violation.
Okay.
You can ask the court if they would be willing to reduce the fine for you.
Okay.
There might be a possibility that they could do that. I don't know. That would be up to the judge, and they would make that decision. So if you want to appear in court, by all means, you can appear in court and plead your side of things.
I mean, if it would make a difference for me to appear in court or not.
Right, and certainly it might. I mean, you could appear in court and they could reduce the citation amount or the fine amount, or they could, increase the points and decrease the fine, or decrease the points and increase the fine, or maybe maybe they'll give you a payment plan, or they'll, I mean, there's multiple things that could happen. Essentially, this individual was operating without any headlamps on, and that was a violation which I stopped him for. After identifying him, he stated that he did not have a driver's license, and for that violation, DOT records confirmed that he was suspended from driver history, which means essentially accumulating too many points within a 1-year period. For that violation, he received a citation. It was $200.50. He did have some questions about appearing in court, and I answered those. He was very cooperative, and at the end he shook my hand and thanked me for what I could do for him. Obviously, it's kind of a touchy situation. We're not going to be best friends with people out on the street that we write tickets to, and I certainly don't anticipate that somebody's going to, be my best friend for me writing them a ticket. But at least if you can treat people with dignity and respect, and at the end of your contact, if they know you're just doing your job and they screwed up and they made the violation, then at least there's mutual respect between the two of us, and I think that's what we achieved today. So overall, it was a good stop. Citation was issued, but at the end of the day, he's okay with that, and he knows that he screwed up, and he's going to take care of that. Some of the things when I'm driving around, I'm not only trying to pay attention to my driving and the calls and the radio traffic and find out what other officers are doing, but I'm also looking for violations on other vehicles. It may be equipment violations, maybe traffic law violations. If I'm sitting at a stoplight, I'm checking for cross traffic, violation of those signals. If the signal turns to red and a vehicle goes through that signal. I'm also looking at the vehicles in front of me and behind me, looking for anything that appears out of the ordinary. Equipment violations, not having license plates on a vehicle, anything that appears suspicious, driving behaviors that appear suspicious, running registration plates and owners, looking for stolen vehicles, wanted people, anything that might be out of the ordinary. Sometimes I'll follow vehicles and make sure that they're operating safely. Sam 10.
Go ahead.
Put me on traffic, Bowen, south of Murdoch, vehicle operating on the wrong side of the roadways. Hey there, Officer Moss, City of Oshkosh Police.
I'm so sorry. I just went the wrong way. I meant to go to Piggly Wiggly and I passed it and then I turned
Okay.
out and
Okay, have you been drinking alcohol today?
no, I haven't.
None whatsoever?
I was working at a bar all day.
Okay, yeah, because I smell quite a bit of alcohol coming from your vehicle here.
Yes.
Okay, do you mind stepping out of the vehicle for me? Just gonna have you come right up on the sidewalk over here. Obviously, you're operating on the wrong side of the roadway. That's why I stopped you, okay?
I'm
So what
really
I want you to do
sorry.
is stand right over here and face towards me, okay? For the investigation of the OWI, we utilized 3 different standardized tests. The first one is called horizontal gaze nystagmus. What this test is we're checking a person's eyes for the presence of alcohol or a controlled substance. And we pass a stimulus or our finger in front of their eyes and look for different indicators like nystagmus, which is a involuntary jerking of the eye. Different eyes are going to show us the presence of alcohol and also how much alcohol might be in a person's system. The second test that we used is a walk and turn test. It consists of taking 9 heel-to-toe steps in a straight line, turning around in a specific manner and then walking 9 heel-to-toe steps back. Some of the indicators that we look for on this test would be raising someone's arms up from the position where they're directed, which would be next to their body. Also taking too many steps, more than 9 or less than 9, and also not walking in a heel-to-toe manner. An improper turn or swaying or having difficulty balancing while completing the test would all be clues that somebody is impaired.
Just like this, and take a series of 9 heel-to-toe steps back along the same line. Okay? When you do that, I want you to make sure that you're watching your feet when you're walking. You're counting your steps out loud to me so that I can hear you. Okay. And you keep your arms down to your sides. Do you have any questions at all? No. Okay, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll begin.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The third test is a one-leg stand test. And what this test is essentially judging one's ability to balance on one leg. The directions are that the person is to stand with their feet together and their arms down to their sides, and they get to pick up one leg of their choice. They need to raise their foot approximately 6 inches above the ground and point the toe forward. And what we're looking for is the person's ability to stand on one leg and their difficulty in balancing. We do this test for a predetermined amount of time, and we look at how many times the person puts their foot down or how many different indicators they have of difficulty balancing, like raising their arms up from their sides or swaying while they're completing the test. We also ask them to count out loud in a specific manner, and their failure to count or improper counting also would be a indicator of impairment. Those are the 3 standardized tests. There's also other tests that we can use to judge one's ability to operate a motor vehicle safely, and these other alternative tests we can use in a case where somebody may be handicapped or have a recent injury which would prohibit them from safely completing one of the 3 standardized tests.
We're going to take you down to the police department that you'll be released to a sober, responsible adult above the age of 18. Okay? Go ahead and spread your feet for me. I do have to search you before I put you back in my car. Do you have anything in your pockets?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Do you have an ID or anything with you today?
In my purse.
In your purse? Okay. Okay. We're going to walk back here. At this point, we're going back to the police department. We're going to have this individual go through the intoximeter test to determine the blood alcohol content and try to find a ride. On a first offense OWI, you're going to come down to the police department and be processed. As long as there's somebody above the age of 18 that's a sober adult, you can be released to that person without having to go to jail. If in the event we're unable to contact anybody, then that person would need to be placed in jail on a 12-hour hold and remain there for 12 hours or until their BAC is below a .04, and at that point they would be released. We just got done processing an intoxicated driver. After we went through the process down here in the Sallyport area, we conducted an intoximeter test to determine the blood alcohol concentration of the female that was arrested. That person then was released to a responsible party who was sober and above the age of 18. She currently has the ability to pay either a fine or appear in court for the violation.
Dave, I'd like to thank you for coming on today's show and showing us a day in the life of an Oshkosh police officer. What Dave showed us today was some calls, including bomb threat, suspicious person calls, traffic stops, and also an OWI arrest. We want to thank you for joining us today on Beyond the Badge, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
In the case of the bomb threat at the Oshkosh Public Library, approximately 2 to 3 weeks after the taping, the individual responsible for that threat was arrested. A 19-year-old male is in custody.